meeting to order for Wednesday, January 27th, 2021 at 4 p.m. If everybody please stand for the pledge. Mr. Brzezinski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mary Jane.
Joe Core,
Present.
Rich Merzinski,
Present.
Michael Rosenbaum,
Present.
Randy Novak,
Present.
Michael Mullenauer,
Present.
Scott Cooley,
Present.
Terry Larson.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Approval of the agenda. We have one item I'd like to ask to be added. Under item 12, new business, it would be the Okra COVID-19 public hearing. It's been advertised. We just left it off the agenda is all.
Motion to approve the agenda with that addition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or additions or subtractions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is election of the 2021 officers.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we keep the officers the same as they were last year.
We have a motion to retain the offices as they were. Is there a second?
Wait for somebody on TV to say, I'll second it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You guys on TV can speak up anytime you want, just so
Yeah.
you know. You guys aren't? All right. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other nominations or motions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Next item is public comment. Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Anybody from the public? How you doing? I thought that was you.
Good afternoon. Commissioner Joe Haney here. I just wanted to touch on a few thoughts here as far as my limited but only 20 days on the RDC, during which time I worked closely on a number of different projects and doing a number of different things. I wanted to touch on those briefly, kind of give you guys a little bit of a debrief as there's been a recent change here. I was working with some stuff down at the KIP project. Obviously, you guys know what's going on down there. Most of you do. Keeping up on the expansion of the track down there, connecting in, some of the switching issues that are coming up. If you want to talk about more about that later, we can. As far as the rail yard control, traffic control, stuff like that, internal controls. I think they've got a good project lined up ahead for that. The 39 North Conservancy District and the assisted living memory care facility that's going to be coming up. It's going to be an exciting project. I think that's really going to be something to spearhead and make sure that we can get moving on that. That Bella Largo project is really exciting. What they'll be able to do there looks good, and it's something that really could benefit the community. That project alone is going to run probably about $12 million, estimated about 150 construction jobs, new jobs for that, and then long-term it would lead to 50 long-term jobs there. And it's estimated right now to be about $80,000 in annual projected taxes on that one. In addition to that, there's some other stuff. The 421-94 project, with Lowe's and the pipeline up there, that's going to be something interesting to keep an eye on how that develops with some of the different changes across the nation as some of those policies start switching around. EPAC as well is something very exciting. I was on that Zoom virtual tour as the Commission RDC appointee at that time. That's an amazing project down there. I think it's extremely important to make sure that we keep track of and maintain and expand where we can local businesses. EPAC's been an amazing local employer. They've done a lot here in the community. I think it's extremely important we keep that expansion and retainment there as well. Do you have any questions for me on any of that?
No, appreciate it.
No? Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
If you do have any questions related to the change, I would say it would be extremely behoove all the members of the board to watch the last commissioners meeting and see how that transpired.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Public comment is now closed. Communications, Mary Jane?
You have three. I want to let you know that your meeting schedule was given to the media so that we have met the requirements of the Indiana Code to publish your schedule. In your packets, there's an updated Redevelopment Commission membership list that has the new member, Mr. Mrzinski's contact information for you. And then you have in your packet, and I emailed it to you as well, the Redevelopment Association of, well, it's not in your packet, I take that back. Trying to save paper. The Redevelopment Association of Indiana had three bills that they were tracking for TIF districts. One's for tax increment financing, another one's for tax increment financing, and the last one is for redevelopment projects.
Great.
And that's the end of your communications.
Thank you. Minutes of our last meeting?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is the treasurer's report. I believe our treasurer's report for this month is the same as last month. Is that right? Because as the switch over, things just haven't, nothing really has changed since last month, so. So we don't need to do anything on that then, do we, Sean? We don't need to prove it again, or, okay, good. All right, claims. The KIDC TIF, Thomas and Associates for December 2000 professional services in the amount of $523.25. MCR Partners, January 21 professional services in the amount of $3,000. Harold Argus, December legal publication amount of $14. Freeman and Associates legal service invoice 10591 in the amount of $349.50. Freeman and Associates January 21 legal services in the amount of $1,500. Clerk of the Court KIP appraisal fee $5,750. Clerk of the Court KIP Rinker easement $67,230. Barnes and Thornburg legal services invoice 2388408 in the amount of $4,334. Barnes and Thornburg legal service invoice 2401094 in the amount of $2,236. Barnes and Thornburg invoice 2414573 in the amount of $9,147.85. And Barnes and Thornburg legal services invoice 2414572 in the amount of $12,808.85 for a total out of the KIDC TIF of $103,893.45.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, but that's 106.
Yeah,
What'd I
Mr.
say?
President, if I could
103.
just clarify for the board and members of the public viewing, because I know we've got a particularly large allocation there for the Rinker easement and the appraiser fees, and if I could at least set the record on that. That particular figure is the court-ordered appraised amount, the $67,230. It started the official 45-day clock for either party to file objections. The Rinkers have today filed an objection. However, we are still able to go ahead, take up the issue of authorizing payment of the appraised amount at this meeting under Indiana Code 32-24-1-10. Once the funds are deposited with the clerk, the county must also file with the auditor a certificate certifying the amount paid to the clerk and including a description of the property. The auditor then transfers the property being acquired to the plaintiff on the tax records of the county. So once that money goes into the clerk, there's a certificate of that, this commission acquires that easement. However, the issue will still be out there in terms of the appraised amount, and that'll be before the court. So that's the only issue pending before the court, is the appraised amount. But at this point, we'd like authority from the commission to move forward with authorizing that.
Great, thank you. And let me restate that, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
106,893.45.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions?
No, I just want to share that the Barnes and Thornburg, there are separate invoices for separate months. So there's an accumulation, and we received the detail, so most people don't see it, so we received the detail by 1/10 of an hour.
Yes.
Of everything that went in by month, and this is unfortunately accumulated, so much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next is the 421, number 1 TIF, Thomas and Associates, December professional services in the amount of $523.25. MCR Partners, January professional services in the amount of $2,000. Harold Argus, December legal notice publication, amount of $14. Center and Associates Public Service Invoice 8424 in the amount of $187.50. And Weaver Group Professional Services Invoice 50542 in the amount of $908 for a total of $3,632.75 out of the 421 number 1 TIF.
Motion to approve the claims.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. 39 North TIF. We have MCR Partners, January professional services in the amount of $1,000. Thomas and Associates, I'll work on it. December professional services in the amount of $1,098.50 for a total of $2,098.50.
Motion to approve, but I do have a quick question.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Question?
And the question is, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. I have a detailed bill again, and am I correct? This was part of there was a lot of activity going on, and I wasn't sure if there was grant activity going on
It's a
as
grant,
well.
it's a water tower.
And so I wanted to be sure that we let everybody know that it was regarding the grant activity.
It's the 39 North EDA grant for the water tower.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help on it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. So the total claims paid is $112,624.70. Moving on to old business, 421 I-94 TIF project update, Matt Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Just a brief update of 421 and 94. We've had two different communication sessions with the good people of TransCanada regarding the moving forward with Loves and trying to figure out what the best way to move that to the forefront. Their commentary to me indicated that they're certainly willing to follow what's prescribed in the federal law, which gives them 2 years from the date that they've been notified to actually do anything. That doesn't really help us out too much. We've imparted on them that it would be really great if they could move that up as part of their good stewardship, and they indicated to me that they were willing to review the revised site plan submitted by Loves that made accommodations for the pipeline improvements that are legally required to be done as a result of proximity. So I have not heard back from them. Along the finance front, I've had a conversation with the contractor who was identified as the lowest and most responsive and responsible bidder. They indicated they'd be willing to hold their bids for a while. We didn't specify how long, but they realized that they were in for 6 months anyway. The good people at Grimmer said not a problem. I also approached them about an opportunity for them to purchase their own bonds for the construction of the project, of which their project managers talking with their ownership about the opportunities to do that. They understand the constraints of the project. I told them I can't move forward, couldn't recommend to this body to move forward unless I had a surety of repayment. So haven't heard back from them. In addition to the activity in and around that particular transaction, we're also taking another cut at an EDA grant by expanding the area into what we've called a advanced manufacturing logistics cluster. Seems the EDA has been very specific in our feedback from the first grant we submitted and said, well, that development you're doing is great. What we'd like is manufacturing and distribution. And with a review of proximity to the existing closed landfill, it makes some sense to go ahead and start talking about property that has a logistics or manufacturing in nature. They're kind of compatible uses. So we've assembled that map. We've included that into the application that will be forwarded to the EDA. We're procuring some letters from some of those people and businesses in the area, and we're going to give it another try. And that's all we can do with that. If there's any questions?
Anybody have any questions on that?
I'm good.
Thank you, Matt. Next item is the KIP update. Matt Reardon.
KP update, as Shaw mentioned, that we had to go through the unfortunate process of condemnation in order for the county to procure the right-of-way to improve the connectivity at the business park. While it's a shame that the property owner didn't donate that, it's even a further shame that the property owner is litigating this further. But as Shaw mentioned, that once we've certified that we paid for the property becomes that of the county. We're able to again proceed with the connectivity to CN and to have those two Class 1 connections to the rail park. I know that Mr. Carroll is proceeding with his work under the Build, Operate, Transfer statute. The process for the billing kind of, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I made an assumption, and I think we know what happens when that happens. I assumed the state would pay directly the claims. No, they got to go through the government. So we're working with the auditor's office to make sure that we have the fund established and that process is smoothed out. So I think that's really all we have at Kingsbury. There continues to be interest to operate the rail in a bigger fashion. That has not been solidified yet. I'm hopeful to, in the coming months, come back to this body for some spirited discussions about the usage of the rail and how it's being used. But I can tell you that without the connectivity being made internally and the processes made to make those connections, you wouldn't have anything.
Right.
While there was and I'll just leave it with this, while there was a spike in cost that was incurred at the Kingsbury Park, that's not very typical, as you know. And all those monies were utilized to make sure that we were moving the best foot forward and adhering to the zoning and what's been discussed.
I should indicate too, I mean, the issues in terms of additional rail, it's a burden of success because of what this commission has done, working with the county commissioners. We're now poised to be able to have connectivity with 2 Class 1 freight carriers. So it's an exciting opportunity, and as Matt says, all the progress continues on construction on track, which is very encouraging.
Right. I just want to add also that regarding the property that we had to use, the commissioners had to use the condemnation on, that property there was many offers to purchase that property prior to that failed.
To my knowledge, there was plenty of private sector activity that occurred regarding that property, and none of it was received. As the commission knows, that's the last resort of government. I think the previous commissioners made not only this commission but the county commissioners made that very clear. That
I just want to make sure everybody knew that. Yeah.
In fact, you guys even have an ordinance to that effect, prohibiting and even being stronger than what the Indiana law allows for.
And Mr. Novak, you're absolutely right. Every opportunity was made to try to negotiate a resolution before using the eminent domain process. Eminent domain is only used when there's a public purpose, and this was certainly a public purpose out there. And keep in mind, we're only talking an easement through the property. It is a reasonable, limited diminution of value. The property owner still maintains full use of that property. The easement only, it's our position that there will not be a significant diminution of property value. And I think that unfortunately the appraisers have agreed with us on that, as did the court. So that's, I think the commission can feel very good that you used every possible opportunity to negotiate prior to initiating that process.
And the negotiations have been going on for years and years.
That is correct.
I can contest to that.
Yes.
if you'd like.
I mean,
Take another 25, 30 minutes of the meeting.
Right, yeah.
You know, and
absolutely.
furthermore, I don't think anybody would have hesitated if this was part of a roadway project. Wouldn't have batted an eye. It would have been done and over with a long time ago. So,
Yep.
it was part and parcel to the county retaining ownership of the easements and the rail easements that allowed for this to occur. So, onward and upward, I
Thank
hope.
you. Next item is 39 North update, Matt.
Mr. Chairman, you have in front of you Exhibit A and a map. And this is a potential project that was brought to our attention, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago. We've had some deliberations with their real estate department and their finance people. The project is a $4.5 million new build of 60,000 square feet, would be approximately 17 plus or minus million in new personal property, new to the county, and create about 60 jobs with an estimated payroll of, I want to say, over north of 3 million. And the assistance level that this company has requested is to use TIF for the project. Now, you're aware that this is in one of our TIF districts, obviously, but because this is a specific project, and in order for, it is my recommendation that in order to insulate the county further, that we create, it's called a separate allocation area. And some of you were around way back when we did it on 421 and 94. There's 2 allocation areas. There's one for the Indiana medical deal that was done that pays for itself. And then there's the other TIF pile that collects revenue. So I would be looking for authorization to prepare the paperwork. I know that I have to do a plan amendment. I know that I have to draft a resolution to approve that, and then notifications would have to be made pursuant to the statute. So that's what I would be requesting for the commission to authorize me to do. And by the way, these are things done in-house by us.
How big of a section is that? Acre-wise,
I want to say, what is that, 10 acres, 12 acres, or is that the 20 acres total?
Total 10 on the south of Innovation Drive and 20 on the, roughly 15 on the north. A total of just under 30.
So you need a approval to move on that?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that a motion.
I'll make motion to give Matt the permission to move forward on that.
All right, so we have
I'll second
a
it.
motion and a second to move forward on this project?
Essentially to create the separate allocation district that he's recommended, if you would.
Correct.
Is there some idea of what the cost is going to take for us to get through this process?
It's internal.
So since it's internal, it's all part of what we're doing? Okay.
Part of your contract
I'm
that
just
you
trying
have
to
with
make
him.
sure
Absolutely.
we're all clear
Yep.
that we're not going to go out to,
Unless you want,
No.
Just say a lot and get it over.
This is part of the benefit of
we're
retaining his
not
firm.
making comment here. We're getting facts.
I gotcha.
All right,
So that would, again, be handled internally. I'm hopeful that we work through the process and the company bites on the incentives offered. If they do, great. If they don't,
right.
we don't have to finalize the allocation area and we go about it. And this is kind of a good complement to the discussion about the senior living center. I mean, it's kind of different stuff happening. The senior living is on the east side, the business side is on the west side. So from a zoning standpoint, we're good. Okay.
Absolutely.
Makes
All right.
sense.
Yep.
Got a motion and a second. Vince.
Yep. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank
Those
you.
opposed? Thank you. New business, we're gonna, at this time, we're gonna have a public, what? No?
Excuse me. We will, Mr. Chairman. I provided the group a map.
Oh, you got another map. You're
Yeah.
not done yet.
Another map. So again, the group was, the Office of Economic Development was approached about a transaction that would be located at I-80, 94, and 35 into town, kind of coming into town. And as the commissioners, everybody I think was still on the commission at the time, with the exception of Rich, the commission had looked at creating economic development plan area for this area. So we have the map, we have the properties identified. The development that's being proposed would occur closer to the interchange and not closer to the airport. But we have all this information already, and it was a document that we got started on. And I remember that we were, as we were talking last year, Commissioner Rosenstein said, should we probably put a pin in this until we get a deal? And so that's where we left it. So, good news. Somebody else came back and said, hey, how do I get utilities to my property? How does that work? And I said, well, there's a method we could look at. To do that, it's through TIF. We have to work with Michigan City Utilities to make it happen. So there's still that collaborative, it's still and always the collaborative effort with Michigan City. So I would ask permission from the commission to take the pin out of this and to finalize the plan document for review at the next meeting. This is another transaction that we've been told, if we do these things, I will do this. It is a 20 million, 25 million-ish deal. Right now, we have zero anything. Provided the zoning is approved and all those things work through its processes with the Plan Commission, it sounds like a good start to what happens at that interchange.
And the thing is right now we have zero, and if he does decide to do something, we're still gonna be asked, the county's gonna be asked to run services out there, so this is a way to do that.
Somebody's gonna ask you
capture
that.
those taxes and keep that in there and still pay for it without raising taxes.
Without coming out of your pocket
Correct.
today.
Correct.
Right. So instead of using major moves or cum cap funds or, local SRF or whatever, I mean, it also is going to require working with Michigan City again, which is fine.
And I would note too, this is also consistent with the commission's direction to get development at this interstate location. It's probably the least developed I-94 location in the state of all the exits. And so you've got an opportunity here with this prospective development, and I've reviewed Matt's proposal, and we're comfortable recommending it to you for approval as well.
Right. And once we get that sewer line under the road in this particular place also,
Yes.
as with the other, the county can then take off as with housing and everything else because of the issues with septics and everything else.
Correct. We now
Yeah, it's a
open up
win-win.
other properties for development to,
Yep.
not necessarily commercial in nature, but others, because you have access to municipal
So
services.
do we have a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
we have a motion and a second on the question? You see how this is gonna work, don't you? Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
President, just a comment, this area that Matt's talking about, with the new airport extension gonna go through,
Yeah.
that's coming. There's a lot of developed acreage out there, and what I will tell you and share with you, pretty much the area on our map does not have an underground pipeline going underneath it, so we're not gonna be restricted once we finally, you're probably gonna find out that this develops before 421 and I-94. So, just a comment.
It goes just north of this.
Right,
I know.
right,
You know
right,
where it
right.
goes, yeah.
right.
Do you want to touch on this IEDC reimbursement request, or you kind of mentioned
Yeah,
JBC Rail that, right,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as the process was finalized with the IEDC, the commission recalls we received a grant for infrastructure cost and development at Kingsbury. It came to with no match requirement. The IEDC required that this be a reimbursable grant. As such, we entered into a contract, build, operate, transfer, meaning build, operate, transfer by the private sector. That's JBC Rail. They were the selected entity. They did that. So JBC Rail has spent over $600,000, and so of course naturally they'd like to be reimbursed. So instead of what I mentioned previous, I thought the process would work. The state would reimburse the entity that was actually spending. The state only awards the money to the county. So as such, we had to work with Tim's office to set up a grant fund and then purchase orders for JBC Rail to be reimbursed. So we're just moving piles of money, but it's all through the grant. And after our review of the invoices, just so that the commission's aware of the process, those invoices then go to the state for their review. and they're the ones who ultimately approve them.
Do we need to take any action on this?
Yes, I'd like you to at least ratify for the record that that is the process for payment that you've authorized.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to proceed with the process for getting getting that IDEC reimbursement sent in. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Okra COVID-19 public hearing. So at this time, we're going to, do you want to speak before we open the hearing, or? Tony?
Mr. President, not unless you need me to, just to give a snapshot, pursuant to HUD's requirement, a public hearing must be held prior to applying for we've defined locally as the LaPorte County Action Fund, which is a HUD low to moderate income job retention initiative. The state of Indiana's Office of Community and Rural Affairs has opened the door for a phase 3. We've become very good at getting this assistance out to the small business community. So we are very thankful and appreciative of all the work the commission has done as a local body.
And this is the same grant that the county's already successfully received with the help of you guys.
Twice.
And some other people.
Correct.
$500,000 that we've distributed straight out to the county. So
We should note for the record, this commission needs to know that the forms that have been created by Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Reardon, have been used as a model for other entities in the state. That's the kind of work that has been done on this. They're fairly modest about it. They're not going to talk about it, but this commission needs to know that.
That's nice.
great.
The thanks and the accolades go to this body that served dual purpose. I mean, this state saw the value in that model, and we appreciate that recognition. It's duly right back in your hands, and
Great.
so we're thankful to support tonight's public hearing. The public hearing, and any comments that would be welcome.
Great.
We have received one via email. We'll forward that accordingly. We also have a sign-in sheet, and we'll be forwarding the minutes of tonight's meeting as well.
Sounds great. So the Okra COVID-19 public hearing is now open. Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Commissioner Haney?
Thank you. The small businesses in our community are hurting. It is an extremely difficult time out there for all the businesses, especially the small businesses, in the midst of some of the restrictions that have been sent down by government in relation to this ongoing pandemic. I think it's crucial we do everything we can to support our small businesses in any way we can, and hopefully you'll look favorably upon that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? Anybody from the public? Anybody from the public? Hearing none? Public hearing is now closed. So we can advance that forward. We don't need to take any more action on that at this time. You guys are authorized? Got everything you need? Sounds great. Is there any other business? Now it says other business, discuss 35 TIF plan. We're gonna talk about it again?
No.
Okay, all right. I thought maybe you had,
No more.
all right. Any other business before the redevelopment commission?
Just very briefly, while it doesn't, as well and as fine-tuned as this redevelopment commission functions, it wouldn't appear you need any revisions or education at all. We are working to put together a economic development toolbox workshop on February 10th with the location to be determined and the time. I just wanted to mention it. It will be a tremendous opportunity to just bone up on any new legislative changes to these tools that we utilize, but it is extremely important, and as the body charged with getting deals done. This body's functioning very well. The convening both the commissioners and the council on February 10th would be, our hope would be to have a very effective dialogue with the state of Indiana and Economic Development Corporation, Matt and I, and a back and forth, a very good dialogue to refresh everyone's skills on legislative changes.
Do we have a time yet for it? Or
Tentatively 3 p.m.
3 p.m.?
Working on refining that right now. I just
Are we
wanted to
doing
mention
3
that.
p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. local?
Central Standard.
Thank you.
3 p.m. But
I asked-
we'll be getting that, as soon as that's firmed up, we'll
I
be
asked them to keep it
circulating
as late
that
as possible
immediately.
because I know some people have.
It's appreciated. We have so many meetings on different days, so.
Just a point of information, Mr. President, too, I wanted to indicate for the record, and I think I had sent you and Mr. Reardon a copy of this, and we can provide copies to all the members of the commission, but there's a recent decision of the Indiana Court of Appeals on how records of negotiations that occur are exempt from public disclosure until they are final. And we wanted to let the commission know that. There was an open record suit brought down in Indianapolis about the Amazon offer. And so it's helpful guidance by the Indiana Court of Appeals on at what point are records and negotiations that are conducted by the RDC and a prospect disclosable under an open record suit. And it is not until they become final and public resources are committed that they are disclosable. In the meantime, records of negotiations are kept privileged and are exempt from disclosure. And I simply wanted to note that for the record. That was a decision out December 31st by the Court of
Thank you.
Appeals. You bet.
And as Mary Jane, I think, touched on earlier with the communication, the email that she got with the legislation that's going on with the different TIF bills, you should read that. That's it's interesting to see what's going on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Well, there's 3 bills that are what I view to be pretty negative towards redevelopment activity. Those are yet to be calendared. They're in committees. I think most of them are in local government. So I'm going to keep a watch on those. Here's my professional opinion on how this is breaking out. Because of the promises made by the state of Indiana to cover the cost of schooling, it's putting pressure on anybody and everybody that there's a perceived loss of income to schools. So you're seeing this resurgence. Whereas prior to the change in the tax law, creating a TIF district had far more impact on schools than this does by any stretch. In fact, I'm of the opinion that, they don't have a negative impact. In fact, there's no impact. So the 3 bills have to do with school funding and other districts. There's another bill that's in the Senate right now, which is a very positive bill that allows for 2 things. One, to utilize tax increment for an extended period of time beyond 25 years. And 2, also brings in the state of Indiana to sell tax credits for those transactions. So there was a program, and it was hugely successful, and I did it in another location, and they ran out of money, is what the comment was. Well, I don't know how you run out of credits, but that's what they said. So they put the program on hold. This would reinstate this program and also allow for the underpinning of using TIF, which for a big project and a meaningful project is a huge opportunity. I mean, they're out selling tax credits to private entities to make capital investments in these deals. And so you have this pretty great public-private partnership. So I'll kind of keep an eye on those, but we'll talk about that stuff on the 10th and some more things about process and what we could do, what's going on down in Indianapolis and what we could do about it. We got, we have good avenues on both sides of the aisle. I will say that these bills are all GOP guys, so they're getting an earful from somebody. I just don't know how or where.
Right. Thank you, Matt. Anything else before the
Mr.
commission?
President, if I could just make a comment. First of all, Mr. Haney, it's great to see you tonight, Commissioner. I'll shake hands with you and leave. I haven't met you before, but I look forward to it. Welcome, Commissioner Mrzinski, onto our redevelopment commission. And other than that, I got to tell you, I'm very, very happy to see that we've all stayed intact and that we didn't separate and change a bunch of people, because the county is in a position right now, KIP and these other developments that we're talking about, in a very, very positive way, that several of these things could really happen. And it would be a shame for us to rock the boat, so to speak, and change all the players and then have to regroup. Matt, you and Tony have done a superb job in trying to keep us straight and bringing everything to us and keeping things going. And Shaw, on the legal side of things, you have stood up just as we expect you would do that and getting the right people to help us. And I just feel that we're in a great position for great things to happen. And I'd love to see this group just stay together here for another year and make it happen. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody else have a comment?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Beach.
Adjourned.